All right. So, again, man, I don't know why. And for those new subscribers and stuff, especially those of you who were in the watch party earlier, welcome to the channel. It's much appreciated that you guys are here. So, for those, I do this shit all the time. Like, Lynch is still coming later tonight, but a random movie will always come before whatever I say is coming. So, let's talk about this movie from my favorite person, Kevin Williamson, which I'll talk about this till I'm blue in the face, until I get like an explanation and figure it out. This is a terrible film for me. It really is. I get really no enjoyment out of this. The sequels are atrocious. Same with every Scream film, and not atrocious. The first one's not, but the sequels, the urban legend sequels, all the slasher films ushered in, and those of you who've been watching a while, you've heard me say this enough. But what makes the difference for those of us who love slasher films, especially from the 80s, that are so bad, some of them, and they're so ridiculous, and just premises that are just insane, but we can suspend disbelief for those and love them like pieces. And all the Friday the 13th and all the 80s slashers for the most part, like Blood Rage, Maniac's pretty serious for the most part, but all those type of films, The Prowler, there's so much ridiculous stuff in these films, but like in the aforementioned ones, but there's just so much charm to them. There's the cheese factor is a huge thing that it just worked then. And then we just had amazing effects work back then. All practical effects, great kills by some of the best practical effects artists, Savini, and mostly Savini, but for the slashers particularly. I mean, we got, of course, Baker and K&B, Nicotero, Kurtzman Berger, and all those guys, and Botine, but I'm talking about just like slasher films, and Savini was all over like the slasher craze, which fantastic. But that's why we watch slasher films, right? Like, someone can tell me if that's not why they watch slasher movies. It's for the kills. That's really the only requirement for me for a good slasher is great kills. And this film, just like Scream, just like all the films it ushered in, most of them, there's no kills. The characters are all just pretty boy, pretty girl, famous at the time. That now they'd suck a dick to get on a credit card commercial, like just in order to do something for the career. Now they're coming back with this. Apparently, they're doing a legacy sequel. I could not be more uninterested in it. Don't care, but there is some nostalgia for this movie just from being a young kid when it came out and being like exploring horror like crazy around that age, like 7, 8, 9, 10. And I've seen this movie a decent amount. So there's some nostalgia here. There is some good things, as always, that I can pull out of it, like with most movies. But let's talk I Know What You Did Last Summer from 97 by the great Kevin Williamson. So we have Jennifer Love Hewitt, who in the 90s, I mean, she was everywhere. She's fine, same as every leading woman and character in all of these post-Scream slashers for the most part. Same with Urban Legend, Alicia Witt. She's fine. Same with Neve Campbell. I don't love them. I don't think they're great actresses. I don't think they're great characters. But they're fine. They carry the film. They're good at doing just that. She looks so depressed throughout this whole film. That's one thing. It's hard to look at her. Like, I get it, like what's going on in her life and stuff, but she looks so worn down. And just, you can't even get a smile out of her, like, for almost this whole movie, and it's depressing to watch. Sarah Michelle Gellar, she's hit or miss for me. She does nothing for me, really, in this movie. The girl from Billy Madison, her sister, she's cool. She gets no critique. She's fine. Ryan Phillippe, I'm mixed on him. I like him in some things. I do not like him in some other things. This is one of them. It's basically, they just said, just be a dick the entire film. Every line of dialogue, just deliver it like you're an absolute cocksucker. And perfect. There's your character. Can't stand him in this. And Freddie Prinze Jr. has never done anything for me. So again, the cast here, pretty boys, pretty girls, great actresses. In some eyes, back in the 90s. But I relate to these characters almost zero. And I was going to do this movie on 4th of July. Because, one, we don't have a lot of 4th of July movies, like in the horror genre, which is a shame. There's some others, but I did Uncle Sam last year. That's not that good, like at all. And then I thought, and I said, well, this takes place on 4th of July. And I said, I'm not watching I Know What You Did Last Summer on my 4th of July. What, are you serious? I said, I'll do it now. I went on Netflix. It came right up. I said, all right, fine. Let's get this out of the way. So let's talk it. But yeah, like with the charm in the 80s. Yeah, that was a while ago, but we're back now. Where I was going with that, in these films, in these late 90s fake slasher films, you don't have that. You don't have the charm. There's no campiness. So, at least for me, I'm forced to take it seriously. Because they're portrayed like, this is not a comedy. This is not a horror comedy. This is a horror film. It's supposed to be. That's what it was always advertised to me as. So it's supposed to be a horror film, a serious film. Scream gets away with it a little more because of the meta stuff and all that, but it's still, that's the issue, a big issue I have with the Scream franchise, is that I can't take it seriously, and it's portraying itself as mostly a serious slasher film. Whatever with Scream. But that's what I think is the issue for me with this and all these films. Is the lack of kills, the lack of any type of cool kills or good effects or anything like that. Uninteresting characters for me, and it just, because it doesn't have that campiness and that borderline stupidity, but in a fun way, it forces me to watch it as a serious film. And as serious movies, these are terrible movies, in my opinion, of course, as always, but it just doesn't work for me. But the whole opening thing with the guy, and he ends up dying, and there's going to be a lot of non-descriptive shit here. I haven't seen this in a while, and the whole story here is ridiculous. Like, it's not a good script. It's not a good script. It's not a good story. The only thing that Williamson has written for film that I love is The Faculty, and I'm not even convinced he wrote that. Like, seriously, there's been a lot of talk with that he pretty much copied one of his favorite writers, like, for a lot of that screenplay. So I don't even believe he wrote it because it's actually very, very good. I don't like her bangs in this movie either. Jennifer Love Hewitt. I mean, that's nothing, but again, how depressed she looks through this and run down mixed with the bangs, it doesn't work for me. The whole beginning here with, well, after you see David Egan, his name is, right? Or is that who they thought it was, and then it turned out, again, stupid story. But the beginning with the pageant, pageants do nothing for me. Everyone is beautiful in their own way, except for ugly people. So none of this works for me at all. So you can just skip right past all of this, and I'd be completely fine with it. In fact, the only pageant scene in any form of entertainment that's amazing is in Twin Peaks, the Miss Twin Peaks pageant, because it's Lynch. How can it not be? Apparently, when you win the pageant, you're called the Croaker Queen. The Croaker Queen. I don't know. I feel like some of them would be offended just with that title. Makes it sound like they're either going to croak real soon, or that they're like frogs and they're fat and pudgy. Fake band playing alert. Every movie, I just, as a musician, I can't help it. I have to point it out. There's some movies that do good with this, and that they're actually either playing instruments, or it looks like they're really trying, or that they might actually play, but it's just not synced with the music. But it's so obvious to me. Anytime someone's playing, especially guitar, bass, something like that, and they're just not moving their hands at all, that's this band here. It's not a big complaint, but I notice it all the time. Let's go down to Dawson's Beach. Nice little homage there. how much they try to make Max seem like the killer in a good portion of the very beginning of the film here is overbearingly terrible. Like, did anybody think this guy was the killer when they saw this film? And I'm talking 97. I was 10 years old, maybe 9 years old. I knew it was him. Same with Rebecca Gayheart. It wasn't him. I knew it was not him. I knew it was Rebecca Gayheart in Urban Legend. I mean, you see the crazy eyes on her? Serial killer all over her. See, this is where I can point ahead a little bit. Small thing, but when they're driving, to the beach, the song DUI is playing on the radio. And, they're drinking and driving and stuff when they hit the guy. Cool little clever thing thrown in there. I mean, we just talked about this with Urban Legend, which does it so much better and handles Urban Legends. I mean, it's the central part of the movie and the title, of course. But the whole scene here where all four of them are debating over the Urban Legend, the guy with the hook, and they're all saying, like, no, you're wrong, this is the right one. And so what a waste of time, like, in this movie. Like, this is just padding right here. Also, trying to make Ray out to be the killer later on in the film. Stupid, too. Never did anyone, I guess, or at least myself, again, think that Ray was the killer in this. Kevin Williamson is not good with that. He's just not good with keeping, like, the identity of his killers hidden until near the end of any of his films that he's penned. And he's terrible with, like, red herrings. He tries throwing them in, and it's so obvious that these people are not the killers because it's being shoved right in your face. Like, hey, hi, I might be the killer, like in Urban Legend with that creepy janitor. He's in 3 scenes, and the only reason he exists is because he looks creepy and to be another suspect. Same thing here, same with all the aforementioned films. Just the whole beach scene feels like I'm in an episode of Dawson's Creek, and it's the last place I ever want to be. Since we're letting all my issues out, let's let another one out with this film. The same with, again, like, I hate to be repetitive, but with all these films, ruined by Scary Movie for me. Like, all the Scary Movie films. When they're driving down and they hit the guy, all I'm thinking of and seeing in my head is Anna Faris's head being pushed onto what's-his-name's dick when he's driving the car. That's all I could think of later on when Julie, what are you waiting for? The iconic line from that scene. That's all I can think of is Anna Faris doing it. Like, this Scary Movie ruined so many late 90s, early 2000s films that, luckily, ones that I really don't care for. And yeah, I'm sorry, but this dude is dead as fuck. This guy is deader than dead right here. He looks so gone and expired already. His face is covered in blood. He just got mowed down by this car that was going, 70, 80 miles an hour probably. They were all drinking. They're drunk. It's a terrible situation to be in, but this guy's dead. He's just the whole premise of him coming back a year later. Get the hell out of here. At the very least, if he wasn't dead, if he survived this, like when they show him reach up and grab one of them before they dump him in the water, which they are all way too quick to decide, let's just dump his ass in the water and not do anything else about it. I don't know. These are terrible human beings, all these characters. This is another reason I can't relate to them. But let's say he did survive. They threw him in the water after this. He at least has several, if not a ton, of broken bones and shit all throughout his body. And he's able to swim to safety and be like, this is what I'm saying. Like, I can't take any of this seriously. It's stupid. It's bad writing. It really is. That's what it all boils down to, the writing. It's not good. And it just doesn't do a single thing for me except make me laugh and overanalyze it because it makes no sense. And then they're debating what to do and everything. And then Shorty shows up smoking his blunt. Wrong movie. Max shows up and they get that body out of there just in time. It looks like he thinks something's up, but he never, that's never talked about again. He's never made to be suspect of them, that they did something that night. Like, it's a waste for him to come by. Like, why? Just for us to think it's Max, which none of us do. I don't care what the situation is. I don't care if you just mowed down some dude and you're dumping his body in the water. If somebody grabbed my girlfriend by the neck and started threatening her, are you serious? Do you know what I would do? Not even just anybody, especially a woman, any woman in front of me. He starts choking her out like this. This dude would be at the bottom of the fucking water too. Like, I know he's supposed to be a dick. I know that's his whole character. But because he's a dick, I don't like his character. It's not a good dick. You know, there's a difference between good dick and bad dick. He's not a good dick. He's just a bad dick character. So then, it's a year later. Julie comes back from college, which she was miserable at this whole time, and she looks like the life was just sucked out of her, like a Thai hooker doing a very cheap and weird midget porno video. She's just so hard to look at. Like I said, like she's a gorgeous woman, like in all other movies and stuff that she's in that I've seen back then, especially. I know she's, again, I like Ryan Phillippe's character, Barry. I know that she's supposed to be like this, but it's not good for me. It's hard to watch, and not like in like a good way, like in horror. Like it's like, oh, this is hard to watch, but it's horrific. It's working, and like it's just bad. I will say though that the title, I Know What You Did Last Summer, is a great title. Like great title for a horror film. Piques your interest immediately, makes like What Happened Last Summer, and boom, you're at the box office, you're at the theater, and you're watching it. So she gets the iconic letter in the mail, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and the black magic marker, and she ends up meeting up with Sarah Michelle Gellar, who Miss Croker didn't turn out the way that she thought it was going to be. She didn't go out, become an actress or famous or anything like that. She's just working at a beauty department, you know, where her sister works too. So her life didn't go anywhere. Ray's a fisherman, and Ryan Phillippe is just chilling, I guess. I don't know. Do they say what he's doing? Back to Scary Movie. I might just make this I Know What You Did Last Summer / Scary Movie review discussion. Might as well be. But when the scene after, before they dump him in the water, and, what the hell is her name? The black chick. She's hysterical in all those movies. When she just starts raiding his pockets, takes like his credit card, and like somebody else takes his cash. That's so funny. Yeah, David Egan isn't who the killer is and stuff. That's who they think it is, and they start, you know, trying to solve that whole mystery of who he is and how he survived. But he was found in a shrimp net from some dock or something like that, like weeks after they dumped him. So they think it's him, and that leads us a little bit to the lovely Anne Heche. Like, I do not care for her. Like, this is a year before the Psycho remake? The god-awful remake that is. That movie alone ruined Anne Heche for me. I never liked her to begin with, but just from the Psycho remake, ruined her. Every time I see her here, I mean, they say don't speak ill of the dead, but they can't fucking hear me. Let's talk the look of the killer. Lazy, man. To me, it's just lazy. Slicker, I get it. They're in a fishing village. Like, they couldn't think of anything better than that, except, like, let's throw a raincoat on it. Like, that's the only thing that they thought of. What should the killer look like? Well, it's a fishing village. Just slap a raincoat on him and we'll just call it a day. You put a hook in his hand. Like, it just seems lazy to me. It's whatever. It's fine. It fits with the film. Like I said, it fits with the setting. It's just not a cool look for a killer for me. Like, look at Pieces with the you know, like the all black and the collar's popped up and he has a hat and all you can barely see, but like right here, like that's a great look for a killer. A slicker, whatever. Here's a positive for you. Max's kill is not bad. It's not. Like, it's not a, you know, bloodless cutaway kill or anything like that when he gets the hook right up through his chin here and then pulled down. You see it. You know, there's an effect there. It looks decent. So at least they don't cut away, but that's like the only good kill in this movie. Speaking of killers and slickers, does anyone remember the movie Milo from 1998? I saw that film at a sleepover when I was like 7 years old. So like a year max after I first saw Halloween, my first horror film, and the Friday movies and started getting into horror. It's probably one of the like most early horror films I remember vividly. Does anyone remember that film? It's about this kid who kills a girl. Like, there's a group of girls and she gets killed, and he wears a yellow raincoat and stuff with the hood up, and his name is Milo, and he kills one of the girls when they're kids, and then they grow up, and then this girl starts seeing him again all over the place, and people start dying and stuff. Let me know if anyone knows what I'm talking about, but I might do a video on that soon, because I haven't seen that movie maybe in 10 years, and since that watch, since I was 7 years old. It's not that great, but it's better than talking about this movie, honestly. I know what you did last summer gets another point for having Hush in here, even though it's a cover and it's not Deep Purple, but great song, point for them. Then Barry ends up he's in the gym, and Sneaky Magoo over here in the raincoat, he ends up coming, putting the picture right in his locker when no one else is around. This guy don't hear nothing, and in a matter of like 10 seconds, he's gone. So then he gets run down in the car, well, by the car, and then he just lets him live. Why? Like, why let him live? Like, when he's in the hospital, he's saying, like, he's just, whoop, not do that. He says in the hospital, like, he's just fucking with us. He could have killed me last night. Yes, he very well could have. Why doesn't he? Like, they say a little later, like, Julie says, if I recall correctly, like, he's messing with us. Like, we can't go to the cops, not now. Like, he made sure of that. So that's their reasoning. It seems like if he kills him anyway, so why not just kill him right off the bat and then just get his whole plan started? None of that makes sense either. Then, are you goddamn kidding me? When Anne Heche comes up to the car, and it's one of the stupidest jump scares. She just smashes on the window and goes, "Hey!" and screams and says, "You forgot your cigarettes." Are you goddamn kidding me? What a dumb jump scare. And then Sneaky Magoo ends up getting into Sarah Michelle Gellar's house. Father's, drunk in the living room watching TV. He don't hear anything. They got no creaks in their stairs at all. The most silent steps you've ever heard in your life, or not heard, because there's nothing to hear. This guy is amazing. This guy should be like just a sleuth stealth. I was going to say stealth bomber, but that makes no sense. And again, like, he just hangs out in the closet all night, right? Until she falls asleep, just to cut her hair off and then write the message on the mirror. Again, why? Like, just kill her. You would have been down 2 people already. You would have had Barry killed. You would have had her killed. Then you just got Ray and Julie. Halfway done. 50% completion rate. That's not fucking bad for a serial killer who's trying to take revenge. But no, and who's going to stay in a closet for hours? I mean, I know it's a movie and he's a killer. But still, that takes a lot of dedication. Like, to wait for her to sleep. How do you know she's not going to watch TV for several hours? How do you know she's not a night owl? How do you know she's not masturbating before she goes to bed? How do you know she's not... As much as it's gotta suck having your hair cut like that, like, especially in your sleep, and you know that someone was in your house and did this, kind of pales in comparison to being almost killed and ran over by a car viciously. So, I mean, this bitch really has nothing that she can complain about after what Barry went through. Okay, this scene is one of the most retarded, stupidest scenes in a 90s horror film. Like, I'll start that argument now. When she is driving, Julie, and she hears the crabs in the trunk, and then she stops, she pulls over, and she opens the trunk, and there are dozens of crabs in her trunk all over the place. She runs into the house, whether Barry's or Sarah's. I don't even know her character's name in this. It doesn't even matter. Miss Croker. One of their houses, they're together. 30 seconds. I counted. They're gone for 30 seconds. They come back, open it. There's not a crab in there. There's no water. There's no nothing. It's just a clean-ass trunk. Are you kidding me? Like, who wrote this? Like, I know it was Williamson, but, like, really? Like, somebody can write something this stupid. Really? And no one said to him on set. No one said, this is really stupid. This is really dumb. Like, this makes no sense. There's no supernatural stuff in this movie. Like, as much as they want to make you think maybe that the killer supernaturally came back to life, he didn't. So there's nothing supernatural here. This guy got here, or was following her, got to the trunk while she ran in the house for 30 seconds. I timed it. Like I said, they come back and check on the trunk 30 seconds after she opens it. This guy came, took out dozens of these fucking crabs, and all traces of them in 30 seconds, and got away. Like, I can't take it seriously. Someone tell me if you could watch this scene and seriously, and not say, "Oh, screw you, movie." Like, if anyone could do that, my hat goes off to you. And ironically, this will a few times I'm not wearing a hat. Not to mention, he had to also move Max's body covered under the crabs. So he had to move a body plus like fucking 100 crabs in 30 seconds. Get the hell out of here, man. This is so dumb. What are you waiting for, huh? Fucking Anna Faris. All day, only thing in my mind. Barry points out to Ray that, screw you. You got a letter. I got ran over, but never says anything to Michelle Gellar about bitching about losing her hair. Helen. That's Sarah's name in this. Like, it doesn't matter at this point. Just seeing a 4th of July parade now is making me mad that I even considered watching this on 4th of July and wasting any time of that great party day on this film. And then Barry just proceeds to just run through the parade at the first slicker guy he sees and just tackles this old dude to the ground. And then, I'm sorry, it's like he knows everyone is like a fisherman. This is a fisherman town. He lives here. And he just goes around assaulting people for no reason. Like, oh. So Barry gets killed during the pageant or whatever. Didn't she already win the pageant? I mean, I guess this is 4th of July, like a thing they put on, I guess, some different thing, whatever. But again, all I can think of is them thinking it's her performance in Scary Movie. And she's freaking out. They're like, oh, she's wonderful. And the guy's getting killed up there. Like, oh, I feel like I should have watched Scary Movie. The cop that takes Sarah Michelle Gellar, Helen, whatever, to... after she comes in with the whole story about Barry being killed up there and what's been going on, and she's locked in the back, he pulls down an alley. And another thing, this parade, how long does this fucking parade go on for? It was daytime when Barry assaulted that dude, that old guy, and tackled him. It's pitch black out. It's nighttime now, and the parade is still happening, and this cop has the worst situational awareness ever. And he doesn't turn around, he don't look around or anything, and he just is there to up the body count. Nice little Halloween homage, if you want to call it that, when Helen's banging on the door for her sister, for Elsa to open up, and the killer's getting closer and closer. It's straight out of Halloween. Then after wasting so much time I know this is real negative. I mean, these movies aren't for me. But after wasting all that time with trying to make us think that Ray's the killer, and then she found out when she revisited Missy that some guy came to visit and asked questions about David, and he called himself Billy Blue or some shit like that. And she sees that's the name of his boat. Thinks that he's the killer. We all know he's not. And then the real killer shows up, who survived somehow. Like I said, he swam with broken bones. Yeah, so the killer is Ben Willis. And he says, doing stuff like, you're getting away with murder. Well, you're standing right there. So they never murdered anybody. So at worst, they can get, they can't prove they were drinking that night. So at the worst, if the cops were involved and notified about any of this, is they can get fleeing the scene of, a hit and run. And maybe unlawful disposal of a body, but it's not a dead body, because he's alive. So I don't know what they'd be charged with, but definitely not murder. So that's a good thing. Well, until she kills him at the end. Then, I mean, they're not going to prosecute her for that, but whatever. I'm just trying to have fun with this bad movie. And then we get Dave. Not Dave. The fuck is Dave? Besides my friend Dave. Shout out Dave. If anyone is not subscribed to my amazing friend Dave at Savage Zombie Reviews, go over there. I'll put a little pop-up. Probably forget. But go over there. Dave's an amazing person. We will be streaming on our boy Mike's channel on Friday night at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. I got to find out from Mike. But we usually do that often, and it's always hysterical. So go over there, subscribe to my boy Dave. Savage Zombie Reviews. But Ray and the killer start doing a whole Peter Pan Captain Hook fight on the boat and stuff. And doesn't he like cut the rope or something and the anchor falls, or like something stupid happens at the end of this movie? Yeah, he gets his hook stuck in the rope and he cuts it and he goes flying into the air and his hand gets cut off in the pulley or whatever. Looks alright, the effect, but it's so fucking ridiculous. And then we just end on a dumbass jump scare. Jeez. A year later, after the cop says, don't worry, the body will show up. Haha. Year goes by, and she's in school, and she's in the shower, and then "I still know's" written in the fog and stuff on the door to the shower. And then we get a jump scare of the killer. I mean, he's dead again, but he's back, and if there was never a sequel, Julie's dead. But there is, so he's not dead or something. I don't know. This movie sucks. I never cared for it. And I know that a lot of people love this movie, and that's fine. I'm glad it works for you. It absolutely doesn't for me. But that's I Know What You Did Last Summer. Don't expect these sequels ever. Like, for a long, long time. And knowing me, expect them soon. Take care, guys.